I'm a 29-year-old man who drives for both Uber and Lyft, and almost every trip is straightforward. Nice, quiet riders, enough cash to supplement my main job. But this one changed everything. I just dropped someone off and accepted a new fare, about $20 to $30, which usually means a long ride, but this one was only 50 minutes or so. The pin sent me to a sleek steakhouse. I pulled over out of traffic and tapped arrived. 2 minutes passed, no one. 3 minutes, and a woman finally approached. She hesitated at the rear passenger door, then pressed her torso forward so her laughter echoed against the paint. After bending nearly in half, she swung the door open. "Hi, are you Linda?" I greeted her as she stepped in. In a high, sing-song tone, she answered, "Yeah, that's me, Mr. Uberman." "Someone left something back here." She pointed at the empty back seat. "Aren't you going to call them?" I told her I'd handle it once the trip was over, and tossed the forgotten bag onto the front seat. She shrugged, hopped in, and we rolled off. She rode silently until she suddenly asked, "Can we stop at a UPS store?" I scanned my map. There were several nearby. Before I could choose one, she cut me off. "No, you don't have to go. But I need to bail my friend out of jail. If I don't get this package, he's stuck in there all night." She chuckled. "He's in for murder. If he stays, he's going to kill someone." My stomach dropped. I stared onto the highway, hoping the next exit would come quickly. She just smiled. "You Uber folks need money, right?" she teased. I nervously agreed, and we kept going. A few miles in, she turned to the empty seat beside her and argued with someone. "No, it's his car." He said it's fine. Stop it. I asked if she was okay. "My friend just said your car is nice," she smiles. Then she whispers, "Mr. Uberman, is it okay if I have to steal if I have to?" I hesitated. "What do you mean?" "If I was in the grocery store and wanted bread, I should just take it, especially if I work there." I told her I don't steal. She spun around. "I got money, Mr. Uberman. I got a job." Turning to her imaginary friend, she barked. "Tell her to calm down." I tried to laugh it off. People talk to themselves, right? But when she murmured, "He's sleepy. He's going to kill someone if he doesn't get rest," I gripped the wheel. "Who will?" I asked. She grinned. "No one." As we neared her drop-off, she leaned forward and poked my shoulder with a bony finger. "You hungry? Tired? You could pull over. I could feed you." Her voice drifted soft and menacing. "They say you're really sleepy. Do you like boba?" I clutched the wheel and kept driving. Then, without warning, she murmured to her imaginary friend, "You killed her, so it is what it is." I forced myself not to glance back. Finally, at her pin, she slid out of the car, gave me a slow tooth-torn smile, pressed against the window, and whispered, "Thanks for being so patient. Don't forget to eat." Then she was gone. I drove home shaken and pretty disturbed, not too sure what was going on the whole time, but this experience beyond traumatized me. A few months ago, somewhere between December and January, I had a terrifying experience. I'm a 17-year-old student, 5'4", who works part-time at a children's play center. It's usually full of laughter and good vibes, especially since I host birthday parties, so I never expect to feel uneasy there. I actually really enjoy my job, and I'm super grateful for it. That particular Sunday, I worked until closing, around 7:30 p.m., and I was utterly exhausted. I live in a small town, but work in the city, and since buses stop running early on Sundays, and taxis are too pricey for me, I had to walk home to my friend's place, which is about an hour and 10 minutes away. On top of that, I'd forgotten my coat. So I was trudging through the freezing pitch black alleys with only my phone's 20% battery guiding me. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty scared and had an uneasy feeling in my stomach. About halfway there, I was on a long silent stretch when I felt something off. I glanced up from my map and saw a man, around 5'9", mid-20s, walking toward a nearby bus stop. I shrugged it off as paranoia. I always get a little jumpy walking at night. As I passed him, I felt his gaze burn onto my back. Instantly, my gut screamed, "Run." I turned the corner and sprinted until I can hardly breathe. 3 full minutes of panic mode. I kept hearing evil, horrifying laughs coming from behind me. When I finally dared to look back, I saw him jogging after me, still some distance off, but definitely following and still laughing. That evil, creepy laugh. Anger mixed with fear. Angry at myself for letting him catch my scent. Angry at him. Angry at the whole situation. I pushed on until I saw the lights of a busier road lined with shops. I paused to catch my breath. Far behind, about 150 meters away, he raised his arms like a frustrated child and started screaming at me. Eventually, I saw his shadowy figure go back from where he came. It struck me then how odd it was that he'd been waiting at a bus stop on a Sunday night, no less when buses weren't running. Ever since that night, whenever I walk home alone after dark, I remember his eyes and that sinister laugh. I wonder what might have happened if I hadn't listened to my instincts and ran. It's about 1 a.m. and I'm staying with my grandmother. My grandfather just passed, so I have been helping out around the property. During the day, the property is lovely. No houses nearby for at least a couple of miles. My grandparents own about 3 acres of land with beautiful wildlife all around. The closest neighbors are about a 10-minute drive. At night, it becomes an inky void. It can also become extremely silent. To make things even creepier, there's no blinds in the house, so when it hits dark, my eyes just stare into a very dark abyss of the forest. The only light comes from a lone utility pole at the edge of the yard, and of course from the stars and the moon. Tonight, she switched off those lights before bed. Grandma usually goes to bed around 8 p.m. to wake up early to get the day started. I am a 20-year-old college student staying up in the living room to finish up some assignments. I usually prefer to work on homework when my grandma falls asleep anyways. As I worked by the glow of my laptop, I heard a sudden scratching against the screen door, like branches scraping metal. My heart leapt and everything fell silent except for that scratching noise. For 20 to 30 seconds, I dared not to look up, convinced something unseen was staring back at me through the darkness. The scratching slowly stopped and turned into very soft knocking, like someone was trying to get my attention. I was frozen in fear and couldn't move. In complete darkness in the living room, with my laptop being the only source of light. When the knocking finally stopped, I didn't feel safe. I remained frozen on the couch until I summoned up the courage to lock myself in the bedroom. I then messaged my parents to explain to them what had just happened. The next morning, Grandma and I searched the property and investigated. Thankfully, we didn't find any tracks, stolen goods, or anything out of the ordinary. For reference, we live in an area where bears don't roam, so it's likely some smaller creature, a determined raccoon or a fox. Not sure what was scratching on our door, but I definitely didn't want to find out.